Hello and welcome to this guide on how to develop a winning game localization strategy. If you are here, you probably work in the game industry, in the localization industry, or you're just interested in this topic. So let's begin. A winning game localization strategy involves much more than just translating your game. It begins way before the translation step and doesn't end with it. Do you want to have a better grasp of everything you need to make your localized video game succeed? Then don't be afraid and follow us in this adventure. Level 1. Before translating. You have just started working on that long-term video game project. There is a lot in your mind right now, we know that. But still, localization should be a part of it. While localization is often an afterthought for many game developers, especially for indie teams and small teams, it should be a part of your plans from early development. This way, you'll avoid stepping into some issues that could otherwise become a nightmare. Let's see. Make an internationalization effort. What is internationalization anyway? It is the process of designing a game or app for different regions, languages, and cultures at the same time, meaning no engineering changes will be needed at a later stage to adapt it. In practice, it means paying attention to different elements, such as the size and shape of the containers where your text will show, or even your color palette, to avoid using any colors that may be perceived as offensive by some cultures. The specifics are as unique as each project. Let's see a very common example. Your buttons should accommodate short strings of text in various languages. The right, if you are writing them in English, you should know that their Spanish or French translations will expand up to 25%. But wait, there's more. If you translate to Arabic, it is written from right to left. You get the idea, right? Do not hard code text strings. Wow, your game writers are doing an amazing job. Congratulations! Do you know what you should do with it? Keep it separate from your code. Never ever hard code text strings. By creating resource files like XML or JSON, you'll keep them clean and tidy, you'll easily find them and make any necessary changes, and most importantly, your localization provider will love to work with you. And don't forget to assign descriptive IDs to every string. Analyze your market. This means defining your needs and budget and choosing which languages you are translating your game into. Let's imagine you're a small mobile game publisher from Italy. You probably know that your biggest markets in terms of revenue are the United States, China, Japan, South Korea, and Germany. Then focus on localizing your next game for those markets. Oh, but your budget is low at this moment? No worries. Try one, two, maybe three languages first, and when you have some return on investment, you can add more. Choose the right localization provider. This doesn't need to be the last step of this section. If you are lost or have any questions, you should begin here. An LSP or language services provider will be able to guide you through the previous steps. But who is the right localization provider for you? It depends on your needs, of course. If you make big AAA games, you might want to work with a bigger company as they have the resources to manage massive and very complex projects. But is that the case for indie video games? Let's take the previous example, the Italian mobile game publisher. For you, being a priority for your LSP, working with a small team of trustworthy linguists, or having a single point of contact with your provider are essential needs. We could say that the human touch is key for you. If this is right, a small localization agency can be your best friend. Once you have chosen your partner, create a localization kit, also known as Lockheed, which means gathering your translatable contents and reference materials and sharing them with your LSP. Or you can ask them to help you. Level 2, during translation and editing. Congratulations, you've beaten level 1, but the real challenge begins now. Fortunately, you have a team you can rely on. But just don't send everything to your localization partner and forget about it. This is your project, and you should be involved all along the way. Communication is key. You should be worried if your LSP doesn't ask you anything. Of course, they are the experts in linguistic matters, but still, they'll need some additional context here and there. You'll have to clarify some technical features, or you may even need to take a look at a damaged file, for example. There are many things your localization provider may need your input with, and a smooth communication from both sides is essential. Similarly, if you want to ask them about their progress, any potential issues, or even last minute changes, remember, a good localization agency will respond to your queries promptly and transparently. Pay attention to the query sheet. A query sheet is a common feature for video game localization projects. It is usually a spreadsheet set up at the beginning of the translation step, and it contains cells where linguists can ask their questions and you can respond to them, but it also contains cells for the string ID, date of the query, source text, or even additional context, for example, screenshots. It is a very effective resource for linguists to communicate queries and issues directly to you as long as you keep an eye on it and respond promptly. Otherwise, there could be delays or maybe some errors could slip into your game. Set a clear schedule. Especially for long-term projects, you shouldn't just say, I need this done by the end of April, and forget about it until then. Instead, work closely with your localization agency to set a series of priorities and deadlines. Are your expectations realistic? What is your top priority? How flexible are your deadlines? All these questions and others should be addressed during your conversations to have a clear and manageable schedule to work with. Level 3. After translating. Welcome to the final level. Now that your game is fully translated and edited, let's take a look at some additional steps you can take to complete your game localization strategy. Let's focus on last minute updates, LQA, this is language quality assurance, and feedback. Last minute updates. Have your text or some of them changed since you were handed your translations? Did you forget about graphic elements with embedded text, which is a nightmare for your localization team, by the way? Or maybe you have created brand new marketing materials. Communicate these last minute updates to your LSP as soon as possible and tackle these issues together. This is something that happens quite often, so both of you should be ready for it. Language quality assurance or LQA. Maybe you have your own LQA workflow, or maybe you need your localization provider to set up one for you. In either case, experienced LQA testers and specialists should see how everything looks in game, usually by playing it and filling up an LQA report. Shouldn't a professional localization ensure linguistic quality? you may ask. Yes, it should. But LQA deals not only with translation errors, but also with how your localized game looks and feels in general. Do you remember how French or Spanish translations expand up to 25% compared with English texts? LQA specialists will let you know if some strings take too much space on the screen, for instance, and they will help you fix it. Give feedback. Did your localization agency provide you with a great service? Tell them they love it. Is there room for improvement here and there? They also should know, so they'll be ready for your next project. You can even ask them for their feedback to make your game localization strategy even better. Now that you have learned the basics to create a winning game localization strategy, you just need to put it into practice. Just remember that different projects or different companies have different needs, so don't follow this guide blindly and make it work for you. Oh, and don't forget to ask your localization provider for the names of all the linguists involved in your project and include them in your game credits. If you still have questions about how to create your localization strategy, reach out to us or comment below. We'll be glad to hear from you and we'll do our best to understand your unique needs and concerns. That's all from us today. So thank you for watching and see you soon.